Hello everyone and welcome to our postgraduate information sessions. Tonight is the first session in our series and we'll be looking at, Dr. Margaret Nohilly from Immaculate College will be looking at the Professional Masters of Education for primary teaching. So I suppose for people who are looking maybe for an alternative route into primary teaching, this might be one to consider. So just before we begin, just a few housekeeping. The webinar is being recorded, so it will be available in due course if you want to check out the postgraduate section of the Mary Immaculate College website. If you have any Q&As or any questions, please do put them in the Q&A on your screen and I will put them to Dr. Nohilly at the end of the session. And also if you want to turn on captions, you can do that by turning on live captions in your meeting options. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand you over now to Dr. Nohilly, and she's going to tell you all about the Professional Masters of Education here in Mary Immaculate College.
Thanks, Patrick. Okay, I just want to check, can you see those slides, Patrick or Elaine?
Yes, Max, I can see them okay, yeah. If you want to put it into slideshow, yeah, that should be okay.
1 second now, that's great. Yep. So that's okay there?
Yeah, that's perfect, Max.
Okay, so good evening, everybody, and thank you all for being with us. As Patrick said, my name is Margaret Nohilly, and I am a lecturer in Mary I in the area of SPHE and Wellbeing, and I coordinate the Professional Master of Education programme here in the college, which I suppose more commonly on campus is known as the PME programme. So what we're going to do this evening is we are going to first of all look at the entry requirements for the programme. We're going to talk through the application process with the information that we have to date. We will have a brief overview of the 2-year programme and the different modules that are part of the programme. And then, as Patrick said, later on in the session, we will have time for questions and answers. So to begin, what is the PME? Well, the PME, or the Professional Master of Education, is a 2-year full-time Level 9 postgraduate professional teacher education programme designed to qualify graduates as primary school teachers. And primary school teachers who graduate from the PME programme are qualified to teach at all class levels from junior infants to 6th class, and also as support teachers, special education teachers, teachers who work in different settings in the primary school context. The other thing to bear in mind is that our programme is a full-time 2-year face-to-face programme. We did pivot to an online model, which was necessitated by the COVID pandemic, but we have returned to a face-to-face 2-year full-time programme. Now, there are 2 key stages for application. And the first stage I'm going to speak about is the Tastas Europuk Naguelga, or the TEG application process, which must be completed by all candidates who are interested in applying for the PME programme. So as it says there, you must have completed the oral component of TEG at a B1 level and have achieved a grade of 65% or higher prior to the closing date for applications. And in order to apply for Mary I, you must have that process completed and have achieved 65% or higher. We don't have anything to do with the TEG process here in Mary Immaculate College. There is a dedicated organisation called TEG. All the information is on their website, www.teg.ie. And as it says there, the examinations are administered by the Centre for Irish Language Research, which is based in Maynooth University. So the closing date initially to apply for the TEG Oral Irish exam for the PME programme was the 6th of January 2023. There was an additional application deadline, which was the February the 17th last week at noon. The TEG examination dates were the 27th and 28th of January 2023 and the 10th, the 11th, and now the 25th of February 2023. So really what we're saying is the closing date for TEG has now expired. It is the usual practice that TEG put on one additional date, which they did, and the closing date for which was last Friday. So we don't anticipate that there will be any further opportunities to complete the TEG examination prior to the closing date for PME applicants applications in Mary Immaculate College. But it is the individual responsibility of each person interested in applying for the PME programme to keep themselves up to date with TEG examinations, etc. If you have applied, are awaiting on, or have completed a TEG examination, the results will be issued on the 14th of March 2023. You can appeal your result up to the 20th of March, for which there is a fee, and finalised marks will be issued on the 27th of March. So all of those deadlines are in advance of our application deadline, which I will speak about in a moment. If you have a TEG result from last year, it says on their website, the TEG website, that a successful result in the TEG oral is valid for 2 years before the test needs to be retaken. And candidates who have achieved a minimum of 65% in the oral exam in the last 2 years are eligible to apply for the PME programme here at Mary Immaculate College. Okay, the entry requirements for the programme are sent to us by the Department of Education every year. And the Department of Education have stipulated that for September 2023 entry, the Leaving Certificate minimum requirements for the PME programme will be as follows: Irish, a H4, English, a H7 or an O4, and Maths, a H7 or an O4. So as I said, that is, those requirements are stipulated by the Department of Education. Okay. If you go to our dedicated website, or the postgraduate section of the Mary Immaculate College website, and there's a dedicated PME section there, you will see all of the information that you need in relation to, you know, if you have completed the Leaving Cert pre the H system and the O system, what are the equivalents? So all of that information is available on our website, as are the alternative options that are available for Irish, English and Maths to the traditional Leaving Cert requirements. I won't have the opportunity this evening to go into that in detail, but the information is available under the PME section of the website. Now, what is new this year is that for the 2023 to 2025 PME programme cycle, we will no longer be conducting an interview as part of the selection college here in the process. The interview is being replaced by a points scoring system. So ultimately, your TEG examination, your Leaving Cert requirements, once those are in order and you are eligible to apply to Mary Immaculate College for the PME programme, your application form will be, that will be how this, how you enter or how you achieve enough points to secure a place on the PME programme. And the closing date for those applications is 5 p.m. on the 3rd of April 2023. And the application form is actually now available on our website. In order to have access to the application form, you have to set up a username and a password. But once you have access to the application form, you can complete sections of it as you wish. You can come and go from it without losing information. So you can get that process underway as suits yourself. Now, the basic requirement outside of TEG and outside of your Leaving Cert results for entry to the PME programme is an eligible honours bachelor degree at level 8 with a minimum of a 2-2 award. Okay, those applicants who have not yet completed their degree, so you may be, for example, in the final year of your degree presently, and that will be the case when the application deadline passes. you are evaluated on the examination results of the most recently completed academic year. In the case of degree courses assessed by grade point average, the most recent cumulative grade point average figure will be the relevant one. And as you can see there, your Erasmus year or equivalent is not considered in terms of your most recently completed academic year. You can be offered places provisionally to you being successful in your final degree examination. So applicants who already hold an eligible primary degree at the time of application are evaluated on those degree results at level 8. So even though if you are going to undertake the Leaving Cert this summer, you will not be eligible to apply. You have to have your Leaving Cert results and you have to have your TEG results. But if you are in the final year of your degree program, you may still apply for the program. And obviously, any offers that are made are provisional until your final degree courses are, and the grade point average or the award you're being offered is sent into the college, but you can still apply if you are in the final year of your degree. Now, this year, your application form will be scored on a points system. So what we're going to do now for a couple of moments is we're going to talk about that point system. And as it says here, and again, all of this information is available on our website. And when you go into the how to apply section of the PME section of the website, there's a 3-page, 4-page document there on information for PME, and all of this information is available there to you. So points will be awarded on the basis of the following: your performance in your honours bachelor degree at level 8, any additional relevant application qualifications you may have, and any additional professional experience you may have. The points for academic performance are based on the overall percentage mark obtained in the appropriate examination as confirmed by the applicant's university or awarding body, or as determined by Mary Immaculate College on the basis of the information received. The maximum number of points that you can achieve is 51 points. So we'll have a look now at how the point system is broken down. So you'll see there's examples given here for undergraduate performance and your primary degree performance. So there's examples there given from a lower to an upper range in marks, in grade point averages, and in QCA ranges, which range from 37 points up to 51 points. So I'll just pause for a moment to let you have a look at that. Those of you who have completed a degree and are interested in applying should have a sense of how many points you are entitled to, whereas those of you who are in the final year of your degree, you will be looking at points from the last year of your university degree. Okay. As mentioned, there are also points for additional completed postgraduate qualifications. So if you have or you hold a PhD, you will be awarded an additional 10 points. If you have a master's degree, that is worth an additional 6 points. A higher or a graduate diploma is worth an additional 4 points, and a higher certificate is worth an additional 1 point. And as I have said already, all of that information is on the information sheet online. Points for additional relevant qualifications. If you have a second primary degree, that is scored at an additional 4 points. If you have a diploma at level 8 or higher, that was at least 1 year full-time or 2 years part-time, that is worth 2 points. And if you have a certificate at a level 6 or higher, that again was at least 1 year full-time or 2 years part-time, that is worth an additional 1 point. There are also points offered for a professional experience. So as it says here, up to 5 points may be awarded in recognition of full-time paid employment, which is deemed relevant to the programme and which can be verified. Now, on our website, there is a template which can be filled in by a person who is your employee to verify your employment. So you will find the template for that on our website. Points will normally be awarded on the basis of 1 point for each year of relevant experience, up to the maximum of 5 points. Up to 2 additional points may be awarded in recognition of part-time paid relevant employment and also must be verified. Points will normally be awarded on the basis of 1 point for year of relevant experience, up to the maximum of 2 points. Applicants for the PME may have other relevant experience, independent of their academic programmes related to working with young people in a voluntary capacity. So essentially what that sentence is saying is, any voluntary experience that you have undertaken as part of your degree, that's part of your degree, but you may have undertaken other experience in a voluntary capacity. The experience must be over a sustained period. It must be of a sufficiently high level to merit the allocation of additional points. In recognition of the value of these experiences, some additional points can be awarded. To claim these points, you will normally need to provide a letter from an official of the organisation with whom you volunteered, showing the start and end dates, your contribution in terms of time, and a description of the role. So points are awarded in 3 categories. Full-time paid professional experience. As we said, if the experience is deemed relevant, generally 1 point is awarded per year of employment, up to a maximum of 5 points. Part-time paid professional experience. If the experience is deemed relevant, 1 point is awarded per year of employment, up to a maximum of 2 points. And you see the minimum hours there are 100 per year. And sustained voluntary work with young people in an organisational context. If the experience is deemed relevant, 0.5 points is awarded per year of volunteering, up to a maximum of 2 points, which would equate to 4 years. Applicants can make a claim for points in any or all of these categories and may be awarded up to a maximum of 9 points in total. Okay. Now, when the Department of Education initially gave us sanction for the PME programme, they said there was up to 60 places available for applicants. But in recent days, we have learned that there will be 120 places available for people interested in applying for the PME programme at Mary Immaculate College in September. Random selection will be used where it is necessary to distinguish between applicants with equal points after the evaluation of each applicant has been completed. It is very good news for those of you who are interested in applying for the programme that the places are now at 120, which is, going to bring, a huge diversity of experience and of person into the teaching profession, which is most welcome. Those of you who are wishing to accept an offer of a place will have to pay a non-refundable deposit of €500. Okay. As I mentioned earlier in the presentation, alternatives to a second level qualification in Irish, English or Maths are outlined by the Department of Education, and they are available on the PME section of the Mary Immaculate College website. Okay, so finally, before we move into questions and answers, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the structure of the PME programme. So as mentioned, it is a 2-year full-time programme. In Mary I, in both our undergraduate BEd programme and our PME programme, each year is divided into 2 semesters. So a semester generally runs from September to Christmas, and then the second semester runs from January up to summer. So there will be 2 semesters in first year and 2 semesters in second year. The course is very much a combination of theory and practice, and a core feature of the programme is school placement. And students undertaking the PME programme, they undertake 3 school placements which are graded as part of the 2-year programme. The other piece that is important to bear in mind is that there are 2 Gaeltacht placements, each of 2 weeks duration, which must be undertaken by the students. These are face-to-face experiences, where generally what happens is the cohort of students will take the 2 weeks in a Gaeltacht in Donegal or in Kerry or in Galway, and the first Gaeltacht placement is undertaken between semester 1 and semester 2 of first year. So that's normally in early January before the second semester commences. And then the second Gaeltacht placement must be undertaken before the PME students go into the second year of the programme. And there is an assessment linked with the Gaeltacht placement in that there is an oral examination as part of the Gaeltacht placement. So that's the structure of the programme. There are a number of modules that students undertake as part of the programme. There are, I suppose, very limited options in terms of modules in the PME programme, and that is given the fact that it is an intense programme. You know, we need to make sure that we cover all subject areas, you know, the child development and pedagogy areas with students. So as a result, there aren't a huge number of options in the programme. So you will see there in semester 1, for example, language and literacy, maths education, child development, ICT and digital learning, religious education, arts education, schools and society, which is the history, sociology and philosophy of education is covered, research methods, your first professional placement in schools, multi-denominational religious education, and your first Tréimhse Fánamas sa Gaeltacht. So there is an option with religious education. Approximately 90% of schools in primary school are under the Catholic Primary School Management Association, or they are Catholic schools. The other 10% of schools are Church of Ireland schools, schools that are community national schools, schools that are Educate Together schools. If you wish, you can take both religion modules, or you can take one religion module, but that is explained to you, you know, when you're offered to place in the course. In second semester, you'll see language and literacy 2, Gaelga agus Múna na Gaelga, and again you have the option with Gaelga to participate in a Gaelga module that supports you in teaching Irish in English medium schools, or you can participate in a Gaelga module that supports you in teaching Irish in Scoileanna na Gaeltacht agus Scoileanna na Long Gaelga, so Gael schools and schools on the Gaeltacht. You have maths, you have educational methodology, educational psychology and assessment, SPHE and PE, the teaching of history, geography and science, and education about religion, beliefs and ethics. And you will see there that you have your second school placement, which is a 6-week placement at the end of the first year of the placement. So it generally takes place in April and May of the first year of the placement. And then you have your second Gaeltacht placement to undertake before you move into second year. Second year, then you have your second Gaeilge module, your second Schools and Society and teaching of history, geography and science, early childhood education, arts education, SPHE and PE2, inclusive and special education, and research methods 3. And finally, the last semester of the course, you are on what we call extended school placement. So you are in a school for 12 weeks, and during that 12 weeks, you undertake 3 professional placement modules. You undertake a module in a class from first class to 6th, a 3-week teaching block. You undertake a 3-week teaching block in an infant classroom, and you undertake a strand placement also. You complete a professional portfolio module, and why there is such an emphasis on research methods across the semesters is that all students who are undertaking this level 9 program must complete a dissertation as part of the program. So that really is what you would call a whistle-stop tour through the different semesters of the college. We have a dedicated section on the website based on the Professional Master of Education program. You'll see the link to the website is there. And when you go into the actual section of the website, there are a number of different tabs on that particular website. And, you'll get the section on how to apply. You'll find the application details. You'll find the alternatives to the Leaving Cert for English, Irish and Maths. All of the information is housed under Professional Master of Education. And it's all there across 3 or 4 different tabs. So that brings me to the formal end of the presenting. I might just come out of the slides there if that is okay. And I think we're going to open it at this stage now, Patrick, for questions.
Okay, thanks very much, Mags. That was a very detailed presentation there, a huge amount of information. So we might open it up for questions now. So if anyone does have a question, would you please pop them into the Q&A function? It's just at the top of your screen there. If you could use that rather than the chat function, that would be great. So first question I might put to you, Mags, is from Jody. And they want to know if part-time paid experience has not yet been for a year, but has been well over 100 hours, would this qualify for the additional point?
And what I would encourage you to do, Jody, is I would encourage you to include that information in your application. And when the applications are assessed, the decision will be taken at that time. So I would include the information, and that decision then, which it outlines in the information that's available on the website, will be at the discretion of the evaluation panel.
Thanks, Mags. A question from Adam then. Adam wants to know, do you need Irish to do this program?
Well, I think, Adam, the best way to answer that is that in order to be able to apply for the program, you need to have achieved the level B1 in the TEG examination. So there is a certain competence that is required in Irish for that. As part of the course then, as you would have heard me say, you undertake 2 taught Irish modules. So that's preparing you to teach Irish in a Gael school or in an English medium school. And you also undertake 2 placements in the Gaeltacht, which are assessed. So yes, you would need a level of Irish to complete the course, but you're I suppose initially that the TEG exam really determines if the baseline has been achieved in order to complete the course.
Okay, next question, Mags, is from Megan, and she wants to know, if you get an offer, how long do you get to accept or decline the offer?
Okay, so what happens is that all of the colleges who offer places on a PME program, the offers are made available on the one date, and it normally is late May, early June. And there usually is approximately about a 2-week period for a student to make a decision on whether to accept the offer or not. Now, obviously, then, if you are in the final year of your degree, there is a certain date in July by which you must send the final results of your level 8 degree to the college. So if it's the final year of your course, you'll receive a kind of a 2-week window. You'll receive an offer. You'll have a 2-week window with which to accept or not. And if you're accepting, it's only provisionally if you're in the last year of your degree.
Okay, thanks, Mags. Next question is from Sean, and he wants to know, if you take the module on teaching Irish in Gael schools and the Gaeltacht, are you still qualified to teach Irish in an English-speaking school?
Yes, you are. You absolutely are. I mean, you are qualified. Really, what you're looking at in those additional modules, or is, we'll say, for example, in many schools, there would be total immersion in junior and senior infants, where the students mightn't look at, the English curriculum wouldn't be taught at all. So it's really just preparing you for the context, but it equally prepares you to teach Irish in an English medium school.
Okay. Next question is from Teresa, and it says, it's just popped out of my feed. They want to know, in the application, is there an area where you can include other achievements and experience that may be useful to include?
I think so. I think the application form, between the different points that are awarded for additional qualifications, for experiences, I think you put in what you feel is relevant into the application form, and then it will be up to the evaluation committee to decide if this is relevant or not.
Okay, thanks, Mags. And anyone that does have a question, could you please put it into the Q&A function, and I'll put it to Mags in due course. Next question then is from Kira. Are school placements organised by the student or by the college?
So normally, the first placement is organised by the college, and the first placement is a partnered placement. So 2 students, say for example, are going in to teach. The first placement is normally between 1st and 4th class. So you're going in to teach 2nd class in a particular school, and you are allocated the school, and you're also allocated your partner. And for that first placement, you only teach the subjects that you have studied in college during first semester. And then for your second placement and your third placement, those are chosen by the student, him or herself. And normally a student would return to the school that they went to themselves for a particular placement. We normally set the expectation that there would be 15 students in the classroom. Now, those 15 students could be in 1st and 2nd class, or 1st, 2nd and 3rd class. And sometimes there are exceptions to that. But to come back to your question, generally the college organise your first placement and you organise the remaining 2 placements yourself. So when we are supervising students on school placements, we supervise students from Donegal down to Skibbereen, and on the islands of Ireland. I've been on the Aran Islands and beyond. So our students would be, they would be scattered nationwide, particularly on that extended home placement, which our second year PME students are undertaking presently.
Okay, next one is to do with the Irish requirements. It's a bit of a tricky one, Mags. Katie wants to know, if someone has an Irish exemption and still has the Leaving Cert requirements, and then they say, is there any extra help for the TEG exam? I know 65% is the requirement in TEG, but someone with a language difficulty, is there a lower percentage? Now, I presume if you have an exemption, you need to get the Leaving Cert entry requirement in Irish to be eligible to apply for the TEG exam. Is that correct?
That's right. And really, I mean, as I said already, the allocation of 65% is determined by TEG. We in Mary Immaculate College are in no way responsible, for the TEG examination or the results. So if you wanted to raise that query with TEG, I would encourage you to do so. But my understanding is that 65% is the basic requirement. There are, and this is all on our own website and on the TEG website, if you achieve 80 points or above in the TEG exam, there are traditionally some additional points for that, but there's no information in relation to points lower than 65% that I am aware of. So I would direct that question to TEG.
Okay. Next question then is from Sean, and he says, in the application it says we have to upload a certified copy of our Leaving Cert results. If we upload the original document, does it still have to be certified by a Garda, etc.?
My understanding, and Patrick, if you want to come in here, is that, if your Leaving Cert results are on certified paper, I think that would suffice, but I stand open to correction on that. It possibly would be best to direct that question to admissions@mic.ul.ie.
Yeah, I think that's good advice, Mags. Yeah, just to be doubly sure. Yeah, I think that's the best thing to do is contact the MIC admissions office. So if you do have any questions, please do pop them into the Q&A. Just another question, Mags, about the undergraduate degree that you have. Does it matter what it's in, or is there any particular area that would be more beneficial to have it in?
Essentially, it doesn't matter what it is in. Once you meet the requirement of a 2-2 level 8 degree, you are eligible to apply for the program. And you will be awarded your points on that. From a personal perspective, you may find if you have a degree in early childhood, or if you have an arts degree in Gaeilge, or geography or some particular subject area, that may support you when you are undertaking infant placement or when you are teaching Irish, etc. But from an applications perspective, there is no favoritism in terms of the type of degree. So all degrees are treated equitably.
Okay, and we get people from all backgrounds anyway, and all different types on the program, Max, too, wouldn't we?
We do, and that's, that is what is the beauty of the diversity of the PME program. I mean, I teach PME1 students presently. I teach them SPHE, and we were chatting about child protection the other evening. And, some of the students were telling me about their backgrounds, and they've come from nursing backgrounds and such a variety of different backgrounds. And they will bring really unique experiences to schools, based on this experience that they have to date. So we really do have students from a variety of backgrounds, which is great.
Okay, and then I suppose the next question then is just some people, I suppose, often compare the undergraduate Bachelor of Education and kind of wonder what the difference is between that and the PME. Is it a more condensed version, Mags, or what exactly? How would you kind of classify the differences between the two?
Okay, so first of all, I would say it's much more condensed. We ensure that you have experience of all areas of the primary school curriculum, and also the child development, the psychology, the assessment, the philosophical, sociological, and historical foundations for teaching. And that's all comparable to the BEd program. The BEd students undertake an additional education experience where they spend a number of weeks in a special education setting, or maybe they might go abroad to a school abroad, which is not a feature of the PME program. The BEd students also undertake a specialism or a multidisciplinary route in a particular area. So, for example, I teach a module on the specialism for SPHE, but that's not an option in the PME program. So yes, the PME program is a condensed version of the BEd without the same number of options. But I think what's very important to state is that when you apply for the PME program, you have to be prepared for the fact that this is a busy course, it's an intense course, there are lots of demands in terms of the number of hours you have to attend at college each week and the number of assessments and school placements you have to undertake. And I'm not saying that to frighten people, but what a lot of PME students say to me who come from their BEd undergraduate program into the PME is, this is more intense than my BEd program was. This, there are lots more hours involved. I really have to give this my all. And, conceptually, and you mightn't find the actual content of the program, academically, you might find that fine and conceptually, but there's a lot of work, there's a lot of practical work, there's a lot of preparation. When you're on school placements, there are schemes, there are lesson notes, there are resources. I remember my dad used to say to me when I was on school placement, when I was training to be a teacher, he's like, "Oh, are you at more make and do there, Mags?" And I'm like, "I am, Dad. I'm at more make and do." I'd be cutting and chopping and, reeling in all the help I could when I'd be on school placement. So, I suppose practically the course is very busy. And I suppose you really have to be prepared that this is an intense experience. It's a wonderful experience, but you've got to be prepared for that. And I think, we always say it to students when we're interviewing them, and it's important that we say it now as well.
Yeah, that's good advice, Mags. Next question is from Kira, and she wants to know, is the interview still part of the application process, or is it just the point system now?
It's just the point system. So the arrangement has been made that from 2023 to 2025, there will be no interview. So it will all be based on your application and the resulting points.
Okay. And then Kathleen is just wondering about the number of hours. I presume that's the number of hours per week, roughly, that you'd be, I suppose, attending lectures anyway. You'd obviously have school placement at different stages as well.
Yeah, so an average week would be 25 hours of lectures, and lectures take place from 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock Monday to Thursday, and generally about 9 to 3 or 4 on a Friday. And then when you are on school placement, you have no taught classes. So for example, our PME students that are on extended school placement now, they are not, they are solely focused on extended school placement. Yes, they have their dissertation to complete, and yes, they have their portfolio, but that work is generally suspended for the moment, and their focus is completely on school placement. But school placement is, most students will come to you at the end of their first school placement and say, "God, this has really clarified for me that this is the course I want to do." That experience, terrifying and all as it is at the outset of standing up in front of a class, but it really, that the relationships you build with the children, and when you really see them understand the content that you're teaching, it's very, very rewarding. But there are lots of demands from school placement in terms of lesson planning, resource preparation, etc. So it's either or really in terms of demands.
Okay, and just a little further follow-up question on that in terms of school placement, Mags. How much placement is there overall? And you might just touch again on how exactly it's organised, or how much you do in the various semesters.
Okay, so in semester 1 of the programme, so you have 10 weeks of lectures, and then you have 2 weeks school placement. And that is a partner placement, and generally the school is sourced for you by the college. So when the school is sourced by you from the college, you might get some option. Usually on the first placement, our schools are in Limerick, Clare, Galway, within a certain catchment area of Limerick. And if you were from Galway, you could request that you would do placement in Galway, but you can't be guaranteed it. But generally, we wouldn't have students beyond a certain catchment area in first year. And that's a partner placement. So that's in for 2 weeks in late November, early December of the first semester. In April, May of first year, so at the end of first year, you have a 6-week placement, and you are in a classroom from first to 6th class. And again, it's an individual placement at this stage. Now, often we have a number of students. We could have 3 or 4 students in a big school, but they would all be in individual classrooms. And then in second year, you spend from January to March, April, depending on midterm breaks, etc., on extended placement. And during that placement, you undertake strand work in a school. And during that strand work, you do get exposure to how special education is organised and, you know, taught across the school, and you get to work with SET teachers. Then you undertake a 3-week teaching block in a class from 1st to 6th, and you undertake a 3-week teaching block in a class of either junior or senior infants or combined junior and senior. And you have some observation weeks, etc., during that 12 weeks. So that's a very intense, and it's a tiring placement. But, you know, it really sets you up, you know, because that finishes in March or April, and by September you will be, you know, preparing yourself to teach a class as a qualified teacher. So 3 teaching placements, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, and 12 weeks. So that's 20 weeks of the program in total, which are devoted to school placement.
Okay, thanks, Max. Another question from Sean, and he wants to know, is there a place in the application form to upload any dissertations you have completed previously? For example, I have recently completed my final year project on language immersion in primary schools. Would that be of any relevance to my application?
So again, Sean, I don't think you'll be uploading your dissertation, but you will be including in your application form that part of your degree involved the completion of a thesis which focused on language immersion, etc.
Quick question then on the Gaeltacht placement, Max. You might just tell us a little bit more about what exactly that entails. When do you do it, and how long are the Gaeltacht placements?
Okay, so every student, and it does not matter whether you're from the Gaeltacht. So if Irish is your first language, you still have to undertake the Gaeltacht placement. Whether you've completed Irish in your degree, that's irrelevant, really. Every student who undertakes the PME programme must undertake 2 Gaeltacht placements, and each placement is of 2 weeks duration. Now, that 2 weeks includes the weekends. And normally students, like what we often find with our PME students, is they decide as a cohort, we're going to go to Kerry, or we're going to go to Carcaguina or Connemara or wherever. And there is student choice, like, you know, if that doesn't suit you and it suits you to go somewhere else closer to home, that's fine. So you undertake that Gaeltacht placement, you live in the Gaeltacht for the 2 weeks, and you participate in college and college-related activities. You know, so there's activities organised in the evenings, etc. And during those 2 weeks, you obviously speak and converse in Irish continuously. So it's sustained practice of the use of Irish in the Gaeltacht. So that first placement is undertaken in early January. So our semester 2 normally begins in about the 3rd week of January, in or around the 23rd of January. So from about the 6th of January or the 5th of January to the 19th or the 20th of January, you'll be in the Gaeltacht. And then the second Gaeltacht placement takes place during the summer, in between first year and second year. So from the end of May to the end of August. Again, if the cohort decide to go together, you know, they choose a Gaeltacht and off they go where there's places available. But if that doesn't suit you for personal reasons, and, you know, there can be lots of reasons across the summer, you know, they can be work related, they can be related to your personal life, you can go, you know, there's lots of Gaeltacht places available and lots of different courses available for other colleges, and you can join one of those courses and complete your placement. And then you complete an oral examination as part of your Gaeltacht experience. So that's the Gaeltacht. A hugely enjoyable experience from what I hear, but I don't ask any questions.
Yes, but probably best not to, Mags, I think, yeah. We've another question then from Kira, and Kira wants to know, does the partner placement mean that you share teaching hours with another PME student within the same class?
Yes, so the schedule is determined by the college, and for example, if there were 6 lessons being taught on a particular day, student A would be teaching, and this is all determined by the college. They might be teaching English, visual arts, and maths, and partner B would be teaching maybe music, drama, and trying to think what else is on in semester one. It could be one student might teach an English writing lesson, another student might teach an English oral language lesson. So you're teaching a number of lessons across the school day in the first teaching block, as opposed to teaching for the whole school day. So that also lessens the preparation, because you prepare for the lessons you teach. And then over the 2 weeks, there's one session that the students co-teach. It's called a thematic session, and you co-teach that session together. So, if it lasts for an hour, you'll teach different elements of it across the hour together. So that schedule is completely dictated by the college. So it is.
Okay, thanks, Mag. So if you do have any questions, we're coming near the end of our session, so please do pop them into the Q&A, and I will put them to Mags. But just a quick question, Mags, maybe on assessment. You might just talk a little bit about how students are assessed on the course, and maybe how their school placement, how their teaching is assessed as well.
Okay, so for every module, and this is under our academic regulations in the college. Believe you me, it's not our individual decision as lecturers. Every module must be assessed. So say, for example, I teach SPHE, but our module is SPHE and PE combined, and we have one combined assessment for that module. Modules can be assessed through various assessment formats, including portfolios, maybe schemes of work, which would support you on school placement. There may be essay type questions. You will also have some examinations, which would be scheduled during examination week of the college. And then school placement, your first school placement is on a pass-fail basis. And normally our second and third school placements are graded. So they are graded from A to F. And there was a stage during the COVID pandemic where our school placements all were pass-fail. But that was due to the fact that we actually were not allowed to visit students in classrooms for a period of time, given the restrictions and the implications of COVID. So it would have been really, really impossible to grade a student without seeing them in the practice of teaching. So our school placement is generally graded on 5 areas: your professional qualities, your teaching and learning strategies, your classroom management, your reflective practice, and your assessment strategies. So when you are on school placement, there is a tutor assigned to you, and that tutor visits you in the classroom on a number of occasions determined by the college across the placement. So there might be 2 visits, for example, across a 2-week placement. On the extended placement, there are 5 visits at the moment. And this can all change, from year to year. I also work as a consultant tutor on school placement. So in addition to tutors, there are a number of consultant tutors, and they visit students just to moderate grades. So we want to ensure that, a B looks the same across, the number of different tutors. And a number of part-time staff support us in assessing school placement. And generally our part-time staff are retired principals or extremely qualified teachers, and they provide wonderful mentoring and assessment to students. And the best mentor you will ever have on school placement is the classroom teacher that you work with, because that is the person who is supporting you and who is guiding you, not in a formal way, like as in their role isn't to grade you like our role is, but they are generally just such a wonderful support to our students on a daily basis in classrooms, and we are forever indebted to them.
Okay, thanks, Mags. And maybe we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. So if you do have a question, please pop it into the Q&A function. But just in terms of what students are studying mags, I know sometimes some applicants maybe have a preconceived view that they'll just be doing Irish, English, and maths maybe a lot. That's what the content of the course. But I know you mentioned it in your presentation, but maybe you might just elaborate a little bit more about the kind of thing, kind of modules you'll be studying.
Okay, so the modules you'll be studying will cover all areas of the curriculum. The curriculum is under reform currently, but under the present structure of the curriculum, we have social and environment, SESE as we call it, which is history, geography and science. We have the arts education, which is visual arts, drama and music. We have social, personal and health education. We have physical education, and we have religious education or multi-denominational education. So all subject areas of the curriculum are covered in addition to English, Irish and maths. And then in addition to that, you have your modules which focus on inclusion and special educational needs. You have modules which focus on assessment. You have modules which focus on child development and psychology and the historical, sociological and philosophical foundations of teaching. So it is a combination of theory and practice. And as we move into the space of the redeveloped curriculum, we will be updating our programs to reflect the changes in the new curriculum. So for example, it is being proposed at the moment that modern languages will be a feature of the new curriculum. And should that come to pass, we will have to prepare our students, to support them, to be able to support the teaching of modern languages in classrooms. So what we deliver to students is very much directed by national policy developments in the area of education broadly.
Okay, thanks, Mags. So our time is nearly up, so I might just put a final question to you, Mags. Just for someone, I suppose, that's thinking of applying for the Professional Master of Education, whether now or in the future, is there any advice you could give them, or maybe advice on how best to prepare for the whole process?
Okay, so first of all, I think it would be, and this isn't about getting points for your application form, but if you have the opportunity to spend a day observing in a classroom, supporting a school as an assistant, spending time in a primary school just to see how schools operate, to appreciate the diversity of pupils in our classrooms and the diversity of needs in our classrooms, I think that would be a wonderful use of your time. On a practical level, I would ensure that you familiarize yourself with all of the information on our website and start gathering your information now in terms of, if you need letters of verification, if you need up-to-date certificates, all of that can take time, particularly if you're going to busy people and asking them to, support the process of application by way of letters, etc. So I would start getting all of that in order. I would start setting up your login materials for, the application process, etc. I think if you know somebody who has completed the PME program or is in the process of completing the PME program, it's really great to have an opportunity to speak with them because, they have walked the walk in terms of the program. And then I think there's no harm going on to the NCCA website. The NCCA is the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment. All of the curricular areas and the curriculum documents and specifications can be found there. And it just gives you a sense. I mean, the curriculum directs our teaching. So it gives you a sense of what the curriculum is about, the methodologies and the skills of the curriculum. So if I were considering applying for the PME course, to summarize, I would be saying, can I spend time in a primary school? I want to be getting my application process and all the additional requirements for it in place. And I think familiarizing yourself with the curriculum and then with the website of Mary I, even the surrounds of Mary I, even considering from a practical perspective, we have people completing our course who are parents, they have young families, they have lots of different, lives and personal considerations, and they all have to be factored in making this decision. So all of those situations have to be considered. I put my email there at the start of the PowerPoint, and you are most welcome to drop me an email. And even if I don't have the answer, I always will get back to you. And in terms of the more technical questions, our admissions office, admissions@mic.ul.ie, are very good and very thorough and timely in terms of reverting to students also.
Thanks, Max. That's some great advice there for potential applicants. So I think that brings our session this evening to a close. Thanks to everyone for attending, and I suppose a big thank you to Dr. Margaret Nohilly for I suppose a very detailed presentation there on the Professional Masters of Education. So you give lots of great advice and great information there, Meg. So thank you very much.